corona, or known as COVID-19, has been preventing us from doing our daily activities. The number of infected people has risen tremendously, but until now, there are still no drugs that can treat this disease. Who doesn't know about COVID-19? It's the virus that made us lose our social activities for the whole year of 2020. Not to mention, a lot of people have been dealing with grief and sadness throughout this period. But what exactly is coronavirus?
Coronavirus, or known as COVID-19, is a series of acute atypical respiratory diseases started in Wuhan, China, in December 2019 via zoonotic transmission correlated to the seafood market there. It was then rapidly spread all over the world through human-to-human transmission, resulting in an outbreak.
How do we know if we are infected by this virus? So, SARS-CoV-2 is known to mainly impact the respiratory system. Related symptoms of lower respiratory tract infection, including fever, dyspnea, and dry cough were reported. Additional symptoms like dizziness, headache, generalized weakness, vomiting, and diarrhea were also recognized.
Then, is there really no drug that can at least relieve the symptoms?
Well, actually, there is. It's called remdesivir. Remdesivir is a phosphoramidate prodrug of a 1-cyanosubstituted nucleoside analog. This drug was created by biopharmaceutical Gilead in the US. Mechanism of action of remdesivir. Remdesivir in its prodrug form works by entering the respiratory epithelial cells, in which it will be metabolized to a nucleoside triphosphate as an active form. This form will then be incorporated into a generating RNA strand, as well as competing with the usual counterpart of adenosine triphosphate or ATP, which will inhibit the RNA-dependent RNA polymerase or RTRP. As this enzyme incorporates 1, 2, until 3 nucleotides, the incorporated nucleoside will then move back. When it reaches the third position away from the active site of the enzyme, the drug will block the enzyme crash into a conserved serine in the enzyme's active site. Thus, it will inhibit the enzyme from moving forward to incorporate the next nucleotide.
The mechanism of remdesivir sounds really promising, right? But is it better than the other drugs? Or can it really relieve COVID-19 symptoms? To answer these questions, a literature review must be conducted, right? So, here it is.
This research has two hypotheses that will be tested. The null hypothesis is remdesivir cannot relieve COVID-19 symptoms or improve clinical condition in more than 50% of COVID-19 patients. While the alternative hypothesis is remdesivir can relieve COVID-19 symptoms or improve clinical condition in more than 50% of COVID-19 patients. The literature review was done using the PICOT method. First, the data criteria was decided, in which the exclusion and inclusion criteria in choosing the paper to be reviewed was made. It was then followed by data collection through various sources such as Google Scholar, PubMed, NCBI, and other relevant sources, choosing relevant English language articles that were published in 2020. The inclusion criteria are relevant, trustable clinical trial results that use remdesivir as the COVID-19 treatment to treat more than 50 COVID-19 patients, and additional articles that elaborate on the disease and the comparison of the available drug. While the exclusion criteria are papers that didn't comply with the inclusion criteria.